Hey, comic book community, Long Box Love Affair here. So this video today is a bit different because I'm going to talk about a situation I find myself in with two missing comic books. So they're not just any ordinary comic book. They are both sketch covers. One I had commissioned, one I bought off eBay, and they have both been lost effectively by CGC. And some of this I've talked about before. So the one is the George Perez sketch that I had commissioned a year and a half ago and is lost. The other one is my Neal Adams sketch cover of Cyclops that I bought off eBay. I showed it off in one of my videos not too long ago. It had a crack slab, and I sent it to CGC to get reholdered. It was reholdered, and it was shipped a month ago. It is stuck in the post office. And why am I blaming CGC for this? Well, CGC mailed it USPS, which they never do. I did not select USPS. I selected FedEx, which has its own set of issues. But frankly, I knew FedEx would get to me. I usually don't have a problem with the US Postal Service, but in this particular case, the tracking shows that the comic is 1 day away from me. It is at the Postal Service office in my city. It just has not left there since the end of August. It is now mid to late September. So it is 3 weeks since that book has moved. And I'm a little bit beside myself. I've been in a funk about this because there's nothing worse than waiting for something that you know is priceless in your mind, because both of these sketches, George Perez and this particular Neal Adams one, these are artists we've lost this year. And I bought this sketch off of eBay for about $500 or $600. I insured it when I sent it to CGC. But right now all they've done is acknowledge that they shipped it the wrong way and they credited back my shipping. I'm sure as time goes on, I can get the full credit, but that's not the point. That's not what I want. I want the sketch. I don't want a refund. I don't want the insurance. So the Neal Adams sketch is a Cyclops sketch that I've wanted to get from Neal for years, and I just never bit the bullet and wasn't going to every con that Neal was at. And of course he's swamped, and at the time his sketch fee was expensive to me. Everything's relative, and at that point in my life I just didn't want to pay that sketch fee that he had, which his sketch fees were anywhere between $500 to $1,000 or plus to get a sketch. So I almost did, but I never did. So now that I have it and it's right at my fingertips, it's been at the post office for 3 weeks, and I'm pretty much certain it's lost in translation somewhere. It is fallen off a conveyor belt. It is behind something. This is sort of what happened during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic in the early days, where things just were super slow. It has been years since that. So, and I haven't had other packages delayed to this extent. So of course, this particular package, this Neal Adams reholdered comic, is going to be the one that's delayed. So I am frankly beside myself. I am in a funk. I've been moody and just unmotivated and just pissed off that CGC sent it a different shipping method. They told me it was a glitch in their system. They owned up to it. But again, it doesn't help me at all get this sketch back. So I'm over it. And I have books that are back from my presser that I have not even looked at because I don't want to send them off to CGC. I have such a bad taste in my mouth. Of course I'll use CGC in the future. I'm just feeling a little sensitive about it these days, and just needs some time. And I'm really, like, fingers crossed, I'm really hoping that I find this book and that it shows up on my doorstep. I actually have it being shipped to work, so I know that there's no fear of porch pirates or anything, so it should go to my work office, and it hasn't yet. So to make me feel better, I've put some of my favorite books behind me. I don't usually show them in the frame. I don't have them displayed at home, but I just felt like I needed some comic content to show in this video. Jumping back to George Perez, you may remember a video a couple months ago where I said CGC had lost my sketch from George Perez. And so this truly is a CGC problem, because I went through a facilitator. I went through Trinity Comics on Facebook, a reputable facilitator, and they had a George Perez sketch off opportunity a year and a half ago, before we knew George was sick. And George took on a certain number of sketches. I think he took about 35 or 40. It was the equivalent of 2 packages from that Trinity Comics sent to CGC. So I'm sitting and waiting, and I'm not going to bother the facilitator. So I finally reach out. Actually, someone reached out to me. They saw that I had, on the thread, signed up for a sketch. And this particular person also was missing their sketch. And come to find out, of the 2 boxes, one had been delivered to Trinity and dispersed to the people who commissioned their sketches. The other is missing. And you know how when you ship an item, and so in this case, I think it was UPS, they created the label. They put the label on the box, apparently, so they say, and it does not show any movement through the UPS system. Essentially, it shows that it has not been picked up. So it is somewhere in the CGC warehouse, presumably, that a box of George Perez sketches is sitting there, lost. Did someone take off with them? I don't know. I feel it is a little suspect, given that George passed around the time that these sketches were slabbed, because it's just everything was taking forever. So by the time that these books made it into CGC's hands, he was already ill, and talked about his terminal prognosis. And those sketches should have been in my hands by the time he had passed away. So 2 artists that those sketches are, for all intents and purposes, lost to me. Maybe they'll show up one day. So the George Perez sketch, I'm going to show up on the screen. This is the sketch that apparently he made because the facilitator, Trinity Comics, had the sketch before they sent it to CGC. So I can at least know what it looked like. I don't know anything else. I don't know where it is. Again, this is another thing that I'm just sort of beside myself. I am powerless. I am not the one that lost the books. CGC has it somewhere. It's somewhere in the world. And what I really hope does not happen is that someone finds them and decides to sell them separately. This is a unique sketch. So if I'm ever at a con and see this sketch, I'll know that it's mine. But I hope that doesn't happen. You know, I have faith in humanity generally, so I hope that someone hasn't stolen this and that it is out there and potentially available for me to collect on at some point. Now, Trinity did say I got a refund. But I had to ask for the refund. I had to ask what happened to my books. They didn't forthcomingly tell me that my book was missing. I had to be alerted by another person who asked Trinity. So that does irk me. I am a full disclosure type of guy. So I want to be upfront and talk with people that I'm doing business with. So the fact that I had to ask and start that communication, and that I had to push for my refund was a little bit like perplexing. So I do have a George Perez sketch that I got from him. Gosh, it was in 2014. So one of my first conventions that I went to, where I was starting to get really serious about going to comic conventions. I'd been collecting for years and years. I've been collecting for over 30 years, but never was in a place where there were many Comic Cons, especially ones that attracted artists. And then I saw George Perez was going to be at Awesome Con in DC in 2014. And so I did have him christen my sketchbook, and he did this for $40, this Thanos, which Thanos for me is the pinnacle of his work. I fell in love with Infinity Gauntlet. This was my sketchbook. And I'd since done several other sketches. So I have a Rye from Jim Calafiore. I have a Wolverine from Joe Rubinstein. I have a Havoc from Tom Rainey. I have this awesome Darkhawk from Mike Manley in 2015. And then I have Spider-Man from Mike McCone. So that's my sketchbook, and then I sort of transitioned to getting things on sketch covers and slabbed. The nice thing about the sketchbook, you have it. Unless the artist loses it, you have it in your possession. You don't have to send it off. So my rambling today is, I don't mean to sound like a woe is me type of person. I am just frustrated. I just don't know what to do. I really, I am someone that exudes positivity on my channel 99.9% of the time, hopefully. And for me to have a sketch missing, not just one, but two artists who have left us this year, both of their sketches are lost. Will they ever be found? I don't know. But I know that my Neal Adams is sitting somewhere in the DC post office system, hasn't moved. I know that my George Perez has not been picked up by UPS yet, or at least not scanned in. And in both cases, CGC hasn't been able to figure it out. So, again, not trying to disparage them. I am frustrated. I know stuff happens. I know stuff happens, and it's just hit me at this time, unfortunately. So I'm thankful for all of my things in my collection. So it's just unfortunate that these two, what I would call priceless items, because these artists are not around anymore, have been lost in the ether. So yeah, so that's that. I'd say comment, like, and subscribe, but it's you're welcome to like this video. I realize that might mean you're commiserating with me, and that's completely fine. So I appreciate that. So just putting this out there, and hopefully I'll be able to do a follow-up video and say I found at least one of these books, that they've been delivered safely to me. I'm not optimistic about that right now. So keep your fingers crossed. Say a prayer to the comic book gods, and yeah, next time I'll have an uplifting haul for everybody. But this time I'm just putting the situation out there. It's some of you are going to comment and say, "Don't do CGC, don't do CBCS. They're going to lose your books." And the fact of the matter is, if you're going to grade things, those are the services. So I'm not going to stop using them. I'm going to think twice about some stuff, but those are the grading services, and that is the situation. So I appreciate you all watching. Thanks for commiserating with me. Thanks for letting me vent a little bit. I am being on my best behavior and trying to remain positive, but it is difficult. So thanks for watching my rambling, and I'll see you next time. A little bit more happier, hopefully. All right. Bye-bye.